I'm going to drop some bombshells on this like you'll never have heard before.
These people are that you're going to be dropping names with regards to this criminal action. Should they be worried?
Definitely, there are multiple criminal investigations already going based on the intel that we've been able to provide to federal investigative authorities. The conclusion is a big point, has been reached that the operations, some call them legacy ones, have been going on for 70, 80 years, dealing with UAP, UFO, extraterrestrial reverse engineering, have been run illegally and are part of a huge criminal organization. In other words, what's commonly termed in federal criminal law a RICO, racketeering, influence, corrupt organization. That has been concluded by some members of Congress that I've spoken to, as well as by federal law enforcement. The crimes range from murder and targeted killings, kidnapping, abductions, blackmail, bribery, embezzlement of public funds in the billions, if not trillions of dollars, murder, and treason. So that's the short list of serious crimes that have been committed by this transnational criminal organization, and they are very much aware that this is being pursued. The problem is, politics of this are such that pressure can be exerted through blackmail files, which I know who in the federal government have a blackmail file on them, and there are. I'm not going to go into it. Law enforcement knows this. And what's in those files, and it's bad. And what that means is that certain key people in both political and non-political positions in the federal government, but in key positions, can be manipulated and can stop any investigations or have it go to full resolution by having these criminal operations ceased and taken down. So we're going to launch effective this week. I'm calling it the Campaign for Disclosure. And we kick it off with this film and another one that we're going to release in the fall. I'm working on with another group. And this is going to be a campaign that will then, we hope, lead to enough pressure to get this resolved, but also to get people to come forward and release what should have been released before January 20th, when the new president was sworn in. And that is a big collection, a cache of evidence and hard proof of all of this that they are in possession of, but were persuaded to hold it back, right? So I think that the only way this is going to get resolved is asymmetric disclosure, which means a group of concerned citizens on the right side of the law and on the right side of history, to be blunt, moving and bringing this out that then forces the issue in front of the Congress and the White House and law enforcement, literally at the level of the Attorney General and the Department of Justice, where it cannot be swept under the carpet anymore. I don't think that, knowing what I know, and I can only talk about a little bit of it, being on the inside of all those efforts, that there is a big risk of it being diverted off into a dead end. And the only way that's not going to happen is that it squarely gets put out into the public, and that's going to take some very courageous whistleblowers, not just with testimony, but with the hard evidence. And I mean schematics, documents, proof, images, video, reverse engineering material, all that. Now, we're talking to people like that. But of course, we know that wet works or assassinations have been engaged. Luckily, we do know the names of the people in a certain executive level of a section of the CIA, as well as one of the major aerospace companies, of the people responsible for these targeted killings. Those names have been turned over to law enforcement. This is serious. And we're talking extrajudicial murders in the United States. So these are serious allegations I'm making. I do not make them without having full knowledge of the wherefore and who and how. And so this, however, as atrocious as these crimes are surrounding the whole UAP issue and the secrecy that has evolved around it since the late 50s, frankly, it could still all be stopped. Because let's not forget, President Clinton back in the 1990s had Team Red. That was to do exactly what we're doing now after he got all this information from Project Starlight, which is the predecessor to the Disclosure Project that I was head of, and from people who I was working with back then. And it got stopped dead in its tracks. And most of the people involved were either killed or absorbed into this illegal transnational criminal organization, what I call the TNCO, that is this global operation running these covert programs, not just here, but abroad. So this is a global criminal investigation. And as a RICO, a racketeering influence corrupt organization, you can look up the RICO Act from the early 1970s. It was set up to take down the mafia, but it's used in other things where there's a larger corrupt criminal conspiracy that is of particular interest to the federal government. So that's what needs to happen. It is what's beginning to happen. But what we as citizens have to do, because I have no official standing in the government at all. I'm a complete, proud to say, outsider, contrary to popular belief amongst idiot UFO conspiracy circles. And the people are going to have to weigh in on this. But the way we do it is that we keep this pressure going in the media, with the films, with the podcasts, with information coming out, but also requesting these sort of whistleblowers with evidence to come forward now, because I can connect them directly to the federal law enforcement officials that can give them protection and immunity from prosecution and secure those secrets and that evidence. We have that in place right now as I'm speaking. So that's why this asymmetric disclosure is really about doing this from outside the bureaucracy of government, but where I have contacts into the, I call them the white hats, the good guys in government and law enforcement and military and special forces, who really want to see this resolved. They are completely 100% on the side of disclosure. So we need to move forward, and that's why asymmetric disclosure, meaning it coming from outside the normal channels in government, is so important. I don't think it'll happen without it being asymmetric.
Well, you know, it's amazing that the front line, it's so dangerous. Disclosure is dangerous. And
Yeah,
people, the
very,
wet
very.
works programs and the missing people, or the,
Yeah.
murder side, as you call it,